Welcome to the last episode of the first season of Making It Here. I'm Brant. This is my co-host,
Selina.
And this is Dave.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Good to see you all in the orchard here. I'm glad to see some flowers.
Yeah, we're
It's
really
a positive spring moment.
Indeed. Well, we went through a long day and we pulled into town. I saw your truck just cooling off the grill.
Just Claude, you missed me by that much.
Couldn't get my own.
By a bamboo stick.
Yeah.
We'll get you.
So, we've known each other a few years.
Yeah.
But just for the sake of our audience, tell us how you got to the Okanagan.
Well, I moved here in 2015 in mid-July. So I will have been here 9 years come this July, which is astounding. Feels like I just got here, but I've almost been here a decade. Moved up from Dallas, Texas in the mid-July of 2015. Was here for about a year and a bit. Lived on the other side of the lake up in the kind of the Rutland Bench, kind of looking back this way westward. And then my wife got a job at Dogwood Nursery just down the hill here. And once she started commuting, we thought, well, if you're going to stay there, we might as well move over to the west side. So we actually live not too far from where we're sitting here. It's probably about a kilometer just up the hill there, with a beautiful view of this orchard. I can see this orchard from my house, and the orchard vineyards that are all throughout here and across to the lake. And when before we came here in 2015, we'd visited about 5 years before that, and we'd come in at night and had no idea what the Okanagan was about. We'd been on the coast, and we drove in at night when we left Hope as the sun was going down. So really, once we got here, I had no idea where we were or what was going on. And the next day, woke up down there at the Cove Resort and went out looked at the lake, and I didn't even feel like I was in Canada. I thought I was in New Mexico, Colorado, California, Nevada, Arizona, Texas, wherever. And then I saw a couple of Canadian flags, and I went, okay, this is Canada. Yeah. And spent a couple of days and was just blown away by the bounty and beauty of the lake, the clarity of the water. In Texas, there's no natural lakes, so the water quality, you can see about a foot. I was blown away how clear the water and clean the water was here. It was almost, drinkable out of the lake. That doesn't happen down in south central United States. Everything's got to be treated and whatnot.
Something we wouldn't even think about because it's so.
Yeah, you got natural.
And stream and lake pretty much is.
Yeah,
it's pretty pure. So
that was a big selling point for me when we originally came here, and I even told my wife, I said, if we ever move back to Canada, which we were planning on doing, this has got to be on the top of the list, because we lived in Eastern Canada, and family in Eastern Canada, and family in Vancouver, and family in Alberta, but nobody here in the Okanagan. And it was an easy deal. In the summer of 15, before both elections, we just sold our house, quit our jobs, and like I said, we were about a year and a half over there, and then we bought our business. We bought Spudstix business that fall when we were here, October 1st of 2015. So it'll be 9 years in October for Spudstix, which is weird. That's probably the longest. I mean, it's my own business, which is great. I have the luxury of turning it off a bit during the winter time, but the springtime and the summertime and into fall is our peak part of the year. And farmers markets and the farm market down the hill here, and might have some opportunities down on the waterfront, which again, it's the place that I'm going to maybe go back and do spuds in the next few weeks. Is the first place that I saw when I came to the Okanagan, and seeing the beautiful old boat there at the yacht club and the beaches and the hills and Boucherie and all that stuff was just, I was like, I just kind of laughed and went, I'm very, very lucky to not have a commute to work anymore, compared to what I had in Texas. And yeah, for that, I'm very grateful. It's been great. Yeah.
So, I mean, just even Dallas itself is
a
bit of a historical...
It's a different scale, and it's history, yeah. I mean, I grew up there in the 80s, 90s. I mean, I was there when David Koresh had the incident in Waco. Actually, there's a couple of incidents in Waco, and actually there was an incident in Waco in 2015. There was a biker shootout between two biker gangs. I think 8 guys got killed, 20-something injured, and they threw 60 in jail. And I kind of said, honey, it's time to maybe it's kind of maybe moved north, and literally we moved about a month later. That was in June, and we left mid-July. We were lucky. We had a developer buy our house. Our jobs, I'd told when I'd signed on a few months before that I might be leaving, and they were like, whatever. So it worked out. The timing worked out well. We had that summer to travel from Texas up here. We went all over Alberta, went all over BC, and got to get to the coast and go to places that I dreamed of going, you know, just to Vancouver Island. And I'd never been to Vancouver. You know, except for when we originally came here. So it was great to go back and not be rushed and enjoy the beauty of the coast and the beauty of the interior. And having family in Alberta and on the coast, it's tough because I want to go there, but we're always so busy here during the summer that it's usually them that comes and visits the Okanagan. And it's tough when you're running around like you guys are. You know, we're pretty, this is our busy time of year, so.
It is.
Yeah.
So you arrived here, and tell us a little bit about Spudstix. It's
well, Spudstix is a spiral cut potato that we put on a bamboo skewer. We have a non-dairy batter that we use, so it is a flour-based batter, but it doesn't have any dairy or eggs, so it's, I guess you would say, vegan friendly. Yeah. But it's just not celiac friendly. Had it for 8 years, I guess, in October. It's been an interesting ride. I have a bit of food background, which is on a totally different scale than just a single potato on a stick, fried to perfection and handed out. So for me, the simplicity of it, a lot of people on food trucks try to do a lot of different things and try to offer
15 different items.
Yeah, when they really only need 3 or 4. I've narrowed it from 3 or 4 to 1. I do it in a couple of different flavors. When I first bought the business, the people that I bought it from didn't offer any ketchup, and I had a vendor from the other side of the market come up to me and beg me to start serving ketchup because my customers were going down, and my customers were using more ketchup than his customers. So I obliged, and then I got into spicy ketchup, and then I got into dill ranch, and then today I just started spicy dill ranch. So you've got 4 little kind of condiments to mess with. There's some other flavors we're messing with, and then it's really, I mean, simple. Roasted garlic and sweet peppers are #1 flavor. Lemon and herbs is another flavor profile. And then lightly salted. I mean, he doesn't like potato deep fried with salt on it. It's kind of a mainstay. But I have a couple of secret menu flavors that I don't really, it's hard to, when we're very busy, it's hard to juggle, you know, more than getting away from that simple thing that we talked about. It's, you know, it's a red spice, it's a green spice, or it's salt. There's a couple little add-ons that we do after we fry them, so I don't get sugars. Like I have a maple bacon spread that I put on top of the garlic, so it's a Kelowna maple bacon, but the maple bacon's not in the oil, it's afterwards. The same, I have a Ogopogo spicy spice, so if you want a spicy spud, we can hit it with a little bit of that spicy flavor afterwards, so it doesn't taint the oil and, you know, make it go bitter or a little bit tinny when you have too much spice. And then there's a new one called the Curveg. It's a curry vegetable blend that if you like curry, you like it. If you don't like curry, I've had people just not even want it. I'm like, that's fine. I don't want, but the people who've tried it really like it. And there's a few diehards down the hill here who will hopefully keep me making that. It's a blend of spice, which is, you just kind of happen on it by accident after eating potato with this or that and dipping it in this and dipping it in that. And again, it's kind of also sticking in that line that it's a vegetarian-friendly product, you know.
And now I get the feeling, I mean, I've known you for quite a few years now, but I also get the feeling that you know how to really describe a product. And so you've got a product which sort of speaks for itself, but you can, when you need to, you can really fill in the gap with a very clear visual explanation. And you're very articulate, you're very active in the kind of energy that you put forth. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you grew up to get?
Well, it's when you're describing that, I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm selling $6 spuds, and I have to sell a ton of them to make a bit of money. I used to be in the car business back in Texas for about 10 years. And, you know, some days if you didn't sell a car, you didn't make any money. Some days if you sold a car or 2 cars or 3 cars, you could make anywhere from $500 to $1,500 to $2,000. for the same amount of work that you did or you didn't do. So feast or famine. So I learned that to entice someone to buy whatever product it is, whether it's pencils or popsicles or cars or Spudstix, if it's something that person doesn't want, you have to either try to find a need, or it has to satisfy an urge or a status or whatever. Or with the Spudstix, it's the primal urge of comfort food. In the car business, it was trying to get the right person in the right car at the right price, and they were out of my hands, and it was on to the next one, you know. So I just learned to try to read people, and you know, it's the simple, you know, the goals. My goals in sales had to be, what is it, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. And I did that with people. And in the car business, and it's same with food. Some people don't want what you really want, but if you can describe to them and get them out of their comfort zone, and just like you with your business, if you give them a sample of it and say, just try it. If you don't like it, I won't make, you know, make it worth it.
Your personality, because you have the personality that attracts, because I've done that with people too. Like, you talk to them and you have a conversation with them, and you attract people in that same respect with personality. Even all the selling tricks.
Yeah, I mean,
those a personality that couldn't do it even with.
No, I mean, and I was very uncomfortable selling cars at first, and you know, part of like anybody in any pressure sales job is, you know, never let them go without talking to a manager, or let somebody take a turn on them. And one of the first customers I ever had when I got in the car business, a guy was looking for a very specific car that only came out every 4 years in a certain package. And I saw him one of the first test drives I ever had, and I let him go, and the guys were like, oh yeah, we know that guy, we can't get his car. And I was like, well, we'll just have to wait and see when his car gets here. And about 6 years later, it was the year when that specially designed R-Series car came out. I found him the one that he wanted. It was in Maine, and we traded for it and got it down. And then when he came in to buy it, he was like, oh, I need another vehicle for my wife, and it needs to be this, 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 and this. And there was one in Seattle, Washington, and there was one in Maine, and which are, you know, equidistance from Dallas.
Yeah.
And we did a deal, and we got it done. And next thing you know, it was a two-car deal. I think he either I don't know, it ended up being a great deal. And then the guy was like, hey, that's the guy you yelled at me for 7 years ago for letting go. And looks back, he just spent 80, 90 grand on 2 cars instead of 1 car, because I didn't hound him. I let him buy instead of me sell. That's, you know, you hear that. You'd rather have your customer buy than have you force them to sell. You know, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's another secret, is you open the opportunity, you provide some good service. And I also say, like, my customers, man, they inspire me every day. They love something, they appreciate it, they say, please keep doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people do a job, have a product, and have customers every day to them say, thank you, and please keep doing this.
So where are you next? Where are you going to be this weekend? Where are you going to be next weekend?
We value you.
Yeah.
You're not just a suit passing an envelope, or, you know,
and it's, you know, and I'm sure you deal with it too. And then this is one car story, and then I won't talk about cars ever again. But I learned a lot over the years of not knowing anything, and watching and having a couple of guys kind of walk me through the sales process. But this old guy came in one day. It was something like out of the Beverly Hillbillies. He literally had overalls on and barely a shirt on, and a cowboy hat, and, you know, a stalk of weed in his teeth, and an Ellie Mae and a granny. I mean, we all joked, well, oh, here come the hillbillies. And nobody jumped up to get him, but this guy who's been in the business forever jumped out, and he went for a walk, and he came back, and they walked away, and we thought, well, he just wasted, you know, 10 minutes just walking them around the lot. And lo and behold, we said, so they're just kicking tires? And he goes, oh no, they bought 3 cars. They just won the lottery. We were like, oh, what? He goes, yeah, the old boy's getting a nice Passat, the girl's getting a convertible Beetle, and mama's getting a tricked out Jetta. And I was like, well, okay, same kind of thing. You got to take the time to read people right and treat them with respect. I mean, that couldn't have been any of 8 other guys that were sitting there going, oh God, you go deal with them, you know, Gary.
Yeah.
Gary went out there and he knocked them out. He goes, yeah, they're going to go get a check. They're going to wire them a number. They're going to bring a check in, and I'm going to deliver 3 cars tomorrow. And all it took him was 15 minutes of just pointing out 3 cars. He didn't even have to take them for a test drive or nothing. They were fairly loyal Volkswagen customers. Again, they like the vehicles. They've always had good experiences with them. So of course they're going to come back and buy 3 at the same day. Whether the lottery was bought or not, we always we call them lottery Bobby after that. It was just like, so we were all not sure if that was another thing. Even today, I see people walking by and I'm not sure if they're going to come and get me, and I'm like, oh no, somebody gave a turn and they saw that sign. I better make sure I spin a couple extra potatoes, and lo and behold, I get a 3 and a 4 and a 2 right. Not busy for 30-40 minutes, and all of a sudden boop boop boop, and that made my afternoon, and people went happy and screaming, and we'll see you next week. So that's all it's all about.
So back a little bit before earlier job stuff, is there anything like of your upbringing you want to talk about? Like how did your family kind of inspire you or encourage you or get you to the point where you really became a person that could connect with your customers and each other?
No, I don't know so much if it was family per se. So we grew up in Texas, and we would spend the summers when we were young, like from single digits to just before 15, 16, I would say. Both my brother and sister were 7 and 9 years older, but we would go from in Texas in the summer. We would go to Quebec. We would spend. I was lucky. I got to spend time up on the St. Lawrence River. I got time up in the Laurentians, and my grandfather had a farm in the Eastern Townships. They had sheep, and they did wheat and hay and all that kind of stuff. So, I was lucky when I was young to actually see part of beautiful Canada and the East Coast. Both in the mountains and on the river and in the farm. So I was really, really lucky, and I really appreciated that beauty early on. So for me to come back here and enjoy it kind of down the road, like I never really saw staying in Quebec. I'm not as bilingual enough to really function business-wise. And after that first trip here, I knew that this was where it was going to be no matter what. And originally I thought about selling cars when I got here. But since I'm a foodie and whatnot, when we saw the Spudstix truck for sale, my wife just laughed and said, hey, there you go. There's your retirement gig that you've always wanted. And she knew that one little thing of just the sweet little potato, the beautiful, glorious potato, instead of trying to do Tom, Dick, and Harry and worry about people who are lactose or vegan or special order, allergy, whatever. I've got to worry about celiacs and people allergic to garlic. Other than that, I'm pretty good. I would say that one of the biggest things was 1 or 2 of the guys in the car business was probably part of that. I mean, I worked in restaurants in a previous kind of life before cars, but during cars, really how to read people and how to talk to people and how to find out, to find out if the customer I can't say waste your time, but if the customer is serious, to empathize, most of them you can. I mean, it's unless there's a language barrier. That's about the only time that it comes into crunch. But I would say some of those car managers that I dealt with, and certainly a couple of those older sales guys who took me under their arms. Because I was one of the youngest guys there, and then by the end, I was definitely one of the oldest. It was weird how in the 8-9 years in the car business, I was the youngest one, and then all of a sudden, boom, I'm the oldest one. And I don't know. And a couple of the older guys were there, but the younger generation, especially with internet sales and stuff like that, the internet portion of that was interesting. I got a chance to kind of sort of get in on that, even though I wasn't very computer literate, and that might have helped just kind of get me interested in how to spin it, how to package it.
It's like the new French fry, the three-dimensional
right.
instead of the two-dimensional.
Well, yeah,
I
I didn't reinvent the potato. There were 2 young, the business that I bought from, there was 2 young guys who I think had seen the spiral cut potato in the Philippines. And so they'd kind of do their due diligence. They found an inversion cutter. They had a trailer made. I think they did it for a couple summers. And then once they got to college, they went into their dad's business, which I think was they sell the Italian style meals and frozen stuff like for M&M meats.
Oh, yeah.
And they had huge facilities, one in Ontario, one in Alberta.
Wow.
But I think the dad was like, you know, if you're going to get into this business, you got to work, you know, really work. So I think the boys had 2 or 3 summers and then got rid of it when they went into college. And I think now they're back with their dad's business. But, you know, it was time, you know, different timing for everyone. If you'd asked me 30 years ago, would I be back in Western Canada frying potatoes and sitting in a beautiful orchard and living in one of the most beautiful places on earth? I mean, it says so on our license plates.
Yeah.
I mean, I just, you know, it's one of those things where I'm slowing down and starting to take the time to enjoy what we have for whatever time we all have left here. And it goes back to your point earlier about, you know, what are we going to do to try to preserve some of it? Because I mean, even on the radio this morning, Phil Johnson was talking about the paintball place is gone.
Oh, really?
The shooting, the paintball range has been there for what, 30 years?
Yeah.
A lot of these fun-filled, kind of affordable, fun things to do in the Okanagan have been slowly disappearing, like the water slides and some of the motels down on Pandos. Like just how people who grew up here have noticed how we're starting to build, and we can't lose sight. I mean, thank God for the ALR that you can't.
Yeah.
That if you didn't have that, we would have neighborhoods in West Kelowna, and you'd have neighborhoods in East Kelowna, because it's just it's much cheaper to do it here than it is to do anywhere else. I mean, and that was kind of the point too, that some of the fun things are being taken over by the developers, and
Yep.
I don't know.
You gotta speak up about it.
Well, yeah, it's a tough deal. It's tough to even go that way.
So just about 9 years, 9 years under your feet here in the area, new business, completely new direction, simplified. What's been hard to get through?
I would say there's, I mean, the one thing that, you know, I think we're still kind of waking up from COVID. I think everyone's just kind of finally realizing that it wasn't that long ago where things were pretty tight. And then last year or the year before, it was a little tough with the weather, and then with what we've just had last year. I mean, right up over there, it was on fire. Yeah. So we had that was a big pivot last year. On, you know, we're having to deal with more of the climate change, where we had the very cold snap in January that affected a chunk of the business in this area. You know, when the fire happened, everyone go away right in the part of our busiest chunk at the end of the summer. Then everybody come back, and it just doesn't work like that. And so now the challenge will hopefully be that there'll be enough information out there that, yep, we don't have any cherries, we don't have any peaches. The wine's gonna kind of run dry in the next year or so until we can get the grapes back up. But it's still a great place to come visit. There's a lake. There's still going to be apples. There's still going to be other bounty.
Lots of juice.
Lots of juice.
I even got cherry and peach juice. Even if you don't have cherries and peaches, I still got cherry and peach juice.
You do?
Last year.
Okay. See, well, we'll have to talk for my cherry lime lemonade.
Yeah, definitely.
Very good, by the way. Yeah, no, the challenge is, it just will be interesting to see if everyone's going to go doom and gloom with the tourists aren't going to show up or not.
Yeah.
Is it going to be smoky? There's no cherries, I don't want to go. Well, that's, you know, we'll get over that. I think there's enough people coming and going. I know that I've had more phone calls to do special events this year than I have in the last 6.
Wow.
And a bunch of them I've said no to, because some of them are on the days where I've already made a commitment to something else, and I'm going to stick to it, you know. Every couple of years, my crew outgrows my trailer, like physically.
Right.
At least the boy, yeah. So we have people knocking themselves out. So I'm in the process of starting a whole new crew. So it is kind of a challenge. I've got a few people I'm training over the next few weeks. So I'll be ready to go for June, July, and August. That would probably be the biggest challenge, because I really relied. My first set of workers was like the dream team, Charlie's Angels. I had 3 girls that could do everything of all the positions and all the jobs, and I could almost sit back and do nothing. Then I had 3 boys who really rocked it together and got it. Yeah, the 3 Musketeers, Amigos. Those guys could rock out, dozens and dozens and dozens of spuds very quickly with very little wait time. So we decrease the wait times just by working smarter and being prepared and knowing when crunch time was. We could set our watches to tell you when it was 10 o'clock at the market. Or if it started getting busy, we were like, is it 9:05? Is it 9:35 or is it 10:05? And then from there till the end of the bell, it was just as fast as we could go. The new location, there'll be some challenges down here. Again, we'll have to wait and see if the tourists are bugged or scared, or they're also and I don't know the particulars of it, but the Airbnb situation for West Kelowna versus the Airbnb versus Kelowna, I think there's some flip-flop there where I think you can't do it in Kelowna, but I think we can do it here. So we might be busier just with more people because people will get better deals. Timely, better, whatever you want to call it. And that could be something that really next summer, if we go, why were we so busy last year? It might be because we had more people on this side doing more things where there's not as many towers and buildings around.
Yeah, just to get out of the
lake access too, a little easier lake access on the west side. So we'll see how that pairs out. I mean,
I think, there's challenges in every market scenario, but for instance, the Kelowna Farmers Market has an incredible new location, a diverse space, tons of parking right off the highway, right at the landmark buildings. A little plug there. Really encourage people to come in, check it out.
And do you have a set spot now again?
We shift between the Saturday, Wednesdays.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, between the couple zones. I'm
Where
in
are you
Arrowleaf Avenue.
Oh, what?
Is the zone 3.
By Frankie's?
On the other side, on Dixon Street, is that zone.
Oh, that's the Saturday.
Yeah. And I think that, I think if I could, I'd love to hit the smaller kind of select markets that you're doing right now, which are outside of these now mega farmers markets.
Yeah, the landscape's changed. And you know what? I think everyone this year, certainly like the wineries and some of the farm stands and stuff, they're going to rely on how they can get people to their place versus other places to get whatever you can. Like, so if you can't sell, peaches, you've got to sell ice cream or coffee or honey or other local products, which we're lucky. We have a lot of other people doing other diverse things here that can actually help the markets and those stands that might struggle because their orchards are down this year or their vineyards are off or their berries are off because of the cold snap. It'll be interesting to see really what the true damage is and how that'll affect the local farmers. I mean, I think people will still, if it's an off year, it's an off year, but if people stayed away during COVID and came back, it's totally. People still came back after the fires, and people with boats still come here, whether it's smoky or not. I mean, it's...
So, last question. As you've kind of reset your life, and you've done the busy markets, now you're doing the lower key markets, and you're still enjoying it, still making some money, still experiencing this paradise. You probably saw on my Facebook, I just said, this is heaven, took a little film of the orchard in bloom. So often one of the last questions I ask people is, what do you see as a legacy for yourself or others that this lifestyle you've built or are building is headed towards?
That's a good question. I'm the last of my family, pretty much. I would say that's a tough question. I mean, as far as legacy goes,
maybe even just for yourself, having
for me, actually, for me, it's peace of mind. I think the last several years, I've had a lot of trauma and death in my family that I've had to deal with, which has been tough. And then, COVID, it affected everyone. Whether you like it or not, you can't say that it did or it didn't. It affected you in some way or someone you knew. And some of the angst that came out of that, you know, whether you were pro or con or for and against or left or right or green or white or red or blue or pink, depending on how you look at it. And then, you know, the Russian conflict, the Israeli conflict. I know people here, I know one of the reasons why I left the States was I was very worried about conflict after that election 8 years ago. And we had a scare 4 years ago. So,
Here we are again.
and here we are again. So we're, you know, some of those things kind of keep me on my toes. All I know is that I've been here almost 9 years, and I've really settled in, not very far from this very spot. And I know when I go to sleep at night, I feel very safe. And I know that was not the case where I lived in North Texas. And again, it's a scale thing. It's a numbers game. The Okanagan's going to grow significantly in the next few years, but I'm sure it won't be as shocking as it was the last 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the landscape when you come around the corner and look over the lake. I was smart. I took pictures early on, and I've taken them from the same spot over there. So it'll be interesting to see if I can go back and start putting these pictures together and seeing these rods that just keep popping up out of nowhere down there. Luckily on this side, we're working on that kind of stuff. Not so much towers, but affordable housing is something that's just an oxymoron around here. It doesn't happen.
And what did you mean you're the last to your family, basically? What does that
My dad died about 8-9 years ago. My mom died 4.5 years ago. My sister 3.5. A couple of cousins, 2 or 3 cousins, 2 uncles, and my brother right now is he's in stage 4 prostate cancer.
Oh, and you don't have children, or do you have?
I have children. I have a wife and a daughter. So I have my family, but my family that, like, when you asked about legacy, there's nobody really left except me. I'll be the spud man. I'll be the spud stud or something. I don't know. It's no, you know, I think part of it is peace of mind. You know, I don't think I'll ever retire. I always, like you said, I like to be around people, and I like to do, you know, I like to meet people, I like to eat good food. It's so much, I'm just so much more at peace, I guess. I mean, and sitting at this spot is a prime example. Like I said, I don't live too far from here, and every morning and night, I just kind of shake my head, just like I did in April of 2017, when we bought our place. I was like, you know, if this is my last spot on earth to be, if it ever goes, this is where I want to be. It's just so beautiful, so peaceful.
Amen to that.
Yeah, I mean that's. I'm just glad to be up another day and enjoy the great life we have here in the Okanagan. That's for sure.
Well, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks, Lena. Thanks, Brant.
My pleasure.
Cheers.
And that's our last episode of the first season of Making It Here. And I think what a perfect way to complete the series. We started out talking about my upbringing, how I came to be, and our mission of seeking more peace in life and finding a balance. And now here today, the last episode we have is about, even if it's one man,
Peace, love, and harmony.
with a potato, it's finding some peace.
One spud stick at a time.
Yeah.
One
I
day.
think everybody desires peace. It's just that they don't put it first. Like, if you want peace first, you have to make it first. If you make money before peace, you'll never have it.
Well, and yeah, that's just,
That's well said.
that's, amen.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Until next time. Adios.